How can a person actually realize that they still have a trauma? Because some people, like myself, I wouldn't say trauma, but we just kind of put it so far in there to it's like, you don't think
Right.
about it and it's gone until somebody is either talking a topic about it, a certain
Mm-hmm.
situation that you've been through that traumatized you, or you're around somebody that had part to do with that or something. But otherwise, you feel like it's locked away and it's gone. You don't think about it, so you feel like it's not there. So
Right.
how does one recognize that there
Mm-hmm.
is a trauma still there and that I need to take care of
Right. And I think, yeah, it's helpful to normalize uh one, normalize therapy, since I already mentioned that, but also putting trauma in a context for people. Because a lot of times, when I have new clients, and if I ask, hey, have you ever experienced any trauma? A good number of people are going to be like, no, I've never been to war, right? However, trauma just means you had an experience that overwhelmed your resources in the moment. So if we're using that definition, how many of us have been in situations where that experience has overwhelmed our actual available resources? So we're talking
it.
about things like car accidents. We're talking about COVID, which again, so many of my clients have unresolved trauma from COVID. They never really realized, like, that's the thing. And there was a lot. You lost people, you were afraid that you weren't going to be here, you didn't know all the things. There were so many pieces that led to that experience of trauma for people. uh Divorce, right? Toxic relationships, toxic workplaces, uh being in the military, uh being a force responder. There are miscarriages, abortions. There are all kinds of situations that may, depending on your situation, may fall under that umbrella of trauma. So then, if we kind of use that definition, a good number of us are like, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe. Uh, so then with trauma, right, we may feel like, oh, well, it hasn't been affecting me long term. On the surface, we feel like I'm good. However, typically the way that that trauma looks up for us is, I can't fall asleep. It takes me too long to fall asleep. I wake up too early in the middle of the night and I can't go back to sleep. Or I can only sleep an hour at a time. Like, I'm up and down, up and down. So any type of insomnia can sometimes be a result of trauma. Things like overthinking. I'm constantly overthinking my decisions, and I worry about all kinds of things throughout the day. That can be trauma. Uh, Startle responses, right? There's a car backfires, and you're like, ooh, every time, right? Or sounds that you feel your heart rate going up in very benign things. A dog barks, and you're like, oh, right? Or um, in the other podcast I was in, I mentioned that I had a stalker in college, and I had some unfortunate interactions with my ex husband, and so uh, after our divorce, when I would see vehicles that look like his vehicle, I would notice my heart rate going up. So things like that, when your heart rate is going up in times when it shouldn't go up. You're not exercising right there. You're not doing anything. It can look like crying out of the blue. And you're like, where'd that come from? I'm trying to think of some of the other commons. Those are very frequent. Eating. Oh, the eating, right? I'm not really hungry, but I know I haven't eaten. I don't have an appetite, or I'm eating everything. I'm not hungry, but it's like a nervous eating that can be a result of trauma. So it can look like a lot of things. And so it's a matter of, working with a professional to really get through those layers of what your trauma looks like, right? Those reactions, and trying to help you to resolve that and get to a healthier place with the trauma.
Again, like I just said a few minutes ago, you hit all the nails on the head, because 95% of what you just spoke of, I am currently there.
Mm-hmm.
Literally about 95% of those things that you just spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I clearly understand. And those are triggers pretty much, like, and like you say, some of the traumas you don't even know that you have been traumatized until you're triggered by something or someone.
Right.
So I'm with the in 2026 getting mentally healthy.
Yeah.